So today we're starting by talking about the nature of magic. And few people use Eye of Newt and Toe of Frog in a spell. So of course, they are more likely to choose everyday ingredients they can find in any supermarket or any new age store, or better yet, in the natural environment. Using objects from nature is a wonderful way to enhance our connection with Mother Earth and to increase the power of your spells by adding the sorcerers and other magic workers have looked to for nature spell materials. This has happened since ancient times. Witches, shamans, and sorcerers, we have looked for other materials come from nature. So the use of herbs and flowers to make healing potions and salves, poultices and tonics, gemstones and even crystals, also used by provided protection and augmented personal powers and attractive blessings. All of those things can be used in spells. The natural world still provides a cornucopia of plants and minerals and other treasures that you can use in your own magical workings. Many of the spells that we're going to share with you later on the modules, back pretty much towards the second part of this course, include botanicals and gemstones. At the beginning of most modules, you'll find lists that we recommend for best plants and herbs. You will get this information and resources from this course. And also essential oils and stones to use for specific types of spells. Now let's talk about sympathetic magic. The basic philosophy of sympathetic magic is quite simple. Like attracts like. This means that in a spell work, an item can serve as a representation or representative or stand-in for another item that's similar to it in some way. It also means that the similarities are not coincidental or that they signify a connection that either being physical, spiritual, energetic, or otherwise between the two items. For example, ginger and ginseng root resembles the human body, and so this is a similarity that some healers believe contributes to ginseng's medicinal properties. If you're an herbalist or you're taking my herbalism class, you probably have learned some of these things. When you do spells, you can use associations between objects in order to make your spells more effective. In some instances, you may be aware of these connections. In other cases, the understanding happens at a subconscious level. Because similarities exist between items, you can often substitute one ingredient for another in a spell. For example, a sunflower represents the energy of the sun, so if you're doing a spell that calls for solar power, you can use a sunflower seeds or petals to represent that power. If you're doing a love spell, you could use a pink rose or a piece of rose quartz. Both resonate with the vibration of love. The energy of the flower is quicker, the stones more enduring. However, either can play a role in a love spell. Let's do a symbolism exercise. So take a moment to consider how you form associations. Because your mind is the most important factor in magic, the mental images you hold are tremendously important when you perform spells. What do the words in the following list signify to you? So now I want you to close your eyes. I know that you have this color connections picture in front of you, but just close your eyes right now and let's see what ideas and connections do they conjure up in your mind when I spoke the words rose, snake, diamond, silk, horse, cactus, waterfall, apple, box, arrow. So most likely your mind instantly produced a picture of the object. Beyond that, though, your imagination probably spun off in another directions and started making associations. For example, the word diamond might have triggered images of marriage or wealth. The word horse might have brought up to mind thoughts of freedom and power, grace, speed, of beauty. Because your subconscious just naturally forms associations of this kind, you can make it work for you in spellcasting by choosing objects that symbolize your intentions. Through this course, you will find many examples of sympathetic magic at work. On the second part of this course, when we're talking about spells, we will be recommending choosing objects that hold significance for you or relate to your goals and incorporating them into your spell. As you grow in knowledge and experience as a spell worker, you will just naturally start making connections of that type. So let's talk about color connections. Colors surround and influence us in countless ways, whether or we realize it or not. And that's why colors play such an important role in spell work. Green is often used for money spells in the United States because US paper money is green on one side. In nature, green also makes us think of a new growth and healthy plants. These are powerful associations. Yellow reminds us of sunshine, warmth, and happiness, so magic workers use this color for spells to attract good luck and joy. We associate the color red with passion, and hence, if you want to do love spells, often include red flowers and red gemstones. In sympathetic magic, what seems like often is. The underlying message is to trust your instincts, and if something with your intuition seems right to you, then go for it. Now let's talk about the color of culture and these connections. Different cultures hold different color connections and symbolism. For instance, in China, white is considered a color of mourning, and Chinese brides wear red instead of a color of good fortune in that culture. For witches, black denotes power, not grief. Individuals also respond in unique ways to certain colors. When casting spells, choose colors that have meanings to you. Many plants also possess medicinal and healing properties, but for our purposes, we will focus here on the metaphysical attributes of herbs and flowers. The category botanicals includes flowers, herbs, trees, shrubs, fruits, and vegetables, and all sorts of other plants. In spellcraft, each has the purpose and its value. In fact, plants are probably the most frequently used ingredients in spells for all kinds. So how to choose and prepare botanicals? Well, let me tell you a story. About 5,000 years ago, the Chinese Emperor Shen Nong compiled the earliest known herbal reference book. Although the original text no longer exists, many later herbals evolved from this compilation. Some 2,000 years before the birth of Christ, the Egyptians and the Sumerians kept records regarding the properties and applications of plants. The Egyptians used herbs extensively for cosmetic, medicinal, and embalming purposes. As the Mediterranean trade routes grew and flourished, the use of herbs spread to Greece. The Nordic Greek physician Hippocrates, circa 460 to 375 BCE, included in his writings roughly 400 herbal remedies. His remedies reflected his belief that all illnesses and diseases were caused by imbalances in the four bodily humors, which reflect nature's four elements: earth, water, fire, and air. When imbalances occur, physicians recommended herbal remedies to restore harmony and facilitate healing. In ancient Britain, the Druid priests, who were also healers, understood the planetary influences inherent in botanicals and used that knowledge when treating illness. Plants grown naturally without the assistance or interference of an outside source, such as, for example, a gardener or a farmer, are referred to as wildcrafted. The cultivated herbs are grown in a controlled environment. They can be just as effective and potent as wild ones. You can purchase herbs fresh, dry, or in bulk from most greengrocers and farmers markets. Know that a special relationship develops between the plants and the person who tends to them. So if you do not live in an area where you can find wild herbs, consider growing your own in a pot, garden, or window box. When selecting botanicals, make sure they're full of vitality. Choose organic plants as possible. And if you're purchasing your herbs and don't know under what conditions they were grown, make sure you wash them thoroughly to remove any residual chemicals that might have been used. You don't want any poisonous vibes of pesticides present in your spell work. If you're harvesting a plant that you have grown or found in the wild, ask the plant's permission before harvesting. Thank it for its help whether you intend to eat it or use it in a spell. You might also choose to leave an offering in return for what you have received, such as a poured libation or a small crystal to honor the earth. You can also say thanks to the earth by cleaning the litter or other debris. If you don't intend to use a plant immediately after harvesting it, dry it properly so that it will retain as much of its life force as possible. The best way to dry herbs, as you can see here, I'm trying to pass this for you, is by hanging them upside down in bunches in a cool, dry, relatively dark place. You can also dry them flat by spreading them on a plate or cutting board wrapping cloth. If you choose the flat drying method, you will need to turn the leaves, stems, or flowers frequently so that they dry evenly and don't rot. You can either leave plants hanging in bunches or remove the leaves and flowers and store them in airtight jars or bottles made of dark glass, normally made with amber or cobalt. This slows the damaging effects of light and will preserve the herbs for a longer period of time. You can use botanicals, whether fresh or dry, in numerous ways. Put dry plant material in pouches to make amulets and talismans, or choose especially fragrant herbs and flowers for sachets and potpourri. I used to do this with sachets and put different spices and herbs with mint, and you can also put them when you take baths, put around in your bathtub, and will smell really, really good. You want to put it in a sachet because if not, you'll get a clogged bathtub. So some plants also can be burned in ritual fires as offerings or for purification. Sage is one of the most popular plants to use for this purpose, but many botanicals also come in form of sticks and cones or coils, which you can burn in spells and rituals. You can make an herbal infusion by boiling water, removing the water from the heat, and then adding herbs or flowers in the water. Let the plant material steep in the water for several minutes, and then strain and pour the water into a glass container. If you wish, set flowers in water and leave them in the sun to steep. The essence of the flowers will be imparted to the water. Sometimes people call this the spirit of the flower. Add a tiny amount of liquor, such as brandy or vodka, to the water to preserve it. Mix the room with flower water to purify or sprinkle a little on an amulet or talisman to charge it. So as you can see, there are so many different things. You can prepare essential oils from plants if you like, although many people find it easier to purchase the oils. And oils are often used for anointing, consecrating, and blessing. You can add them to baths too, as I said before. And some may be ingested, but please be careful. You have to check on this first, as some of them might be toxic. And make sure when you go to purchase essential oils, and this is just a hint, some essential oils are not 100% or they're not at all natural or organic. There might be fake oils, essential oils, and those can cause many, from headaches to nausea to other things. So make sure what you buy is quality essential oils. Each type of oil, like the plant from which it's derived, has its unique associations that enhance the power of your spell. I hope you're enjoying this part on getting to know how botanicals are used in magic and what is sympathetic magic. In the next module, we're going to talk about the power of crystals and stones. See you soon.